Hello Math 1 class. So today I'm going to help you to do the homework of section 2.3 MVP curriculum. Ready, set, go. So I'll just explain few random questions from the homework. Very first question here is comparing rates of change in both linear and exponential situations. You have to figure out compare it. So what you have to do, identify whether situation A or situation B has greater rate of change. And how can you do that? In order to find rate of change is just like a slope. So like first question, if I want to do it, I would basically figure out the distance between the x value, how are they moving. So in that case I could go for, like, it's when I see it's kind of decreasing, so I just -9, and I take the difference between -9 and -10, and that is what I get 1. So every time you see it's increasing by 1. You can do it mathematically, but it's visible, you can see how is it going. And here if I want to see what's the difference here, I could say -43. So it's adding 5 each time, so you can do -43 minus 48, so +5. So it's increasing by 5 each time. So you have to get that difference, and the rate of change will be, in this case, if you have to write that, that's going to be, you talk about the change in y over change in x. So it's basically change in y over change in x. You do it that way. And what it is, how the y is changing by 5, and how the x is changing by 1, that is 5. So that's the rate of change, that for every unit interval in x there is a change of 5 in y. So that's the measurement for the first one, the A part. If I have to do the same thing for B, here I see that I don't have the table, but table and graph, they're the same thing, different representation. So I need at least 2 points here. I can easily read this point, and I can easily read this point, okay? And what is the coordinate for this point? If I read this one, that's x is 0, and I know it's each box is 1, so 0, -3, and here it is 1 comma, this is 1 comma 3. All right, 2 points, and I have to know what is the rate here. So rate, I told you, is just like you're starting from leftmost point and you're reaching here, and you can go across the grids only, you cannot go diagonally. How would you move from this leftmost point to the rightmost? So you have to go up, you have to climb up by 6 boxes, and then you have to go right by 1 box. So here rate of change is what? Rate of change is change in, so it's change in y over change in x over change in x, and that is what? +6 over +1. So when I look at it, my answer is 6. So every unit interval there is a change of 6 in the second case, and change of 5 in first case, A. So which has the greater one between A and B? So we say this A has the greater rate. It has the greater rate of change. So you have to compare it, and then you have to see which one is going to be having a greater change. Let's move to the next question. If I look at question number 4, that it has a table given and a figure given, so I'll use the same way. How is that growing? The x values are growing. It's growing by 4 every time. You see that? It's growing by 4. And how y value is growing? You see that it's growing by 2. You need to add 2. So if I want to get my rate of change, now I'm just writing delta y over delta x. Delta means change in y over change in x, and that is what? 2 over 4, and that's half. That's for the first situation. If I'm doing the second one, now they gave us the figure and a picture, but still you can translate that information into a table if I want to. So here it is figure and number of rhombi. First figure, second figure, and third figure. The first figure you have how many? You have 1, 2, 3. Second you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Third is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you translated the same information in form of a table, and you have to get the rate of change. I see every time it's going up by 1, and here it is going up by 2. And what is the rate of change here? That's going to be delta y over delta x, or the same thing, I'm not writing delta, so it's basically you write it, that's the change in y. This is supposed to be x and this is supposed to be y. The change in y is 2 and change in x is 1, that is 2. So you have to look for which number is greater. When I see this is greater, so here in this case the rate of change is greater. Okay. Alright, so let's move to the next question. So for question number 6, if I see question number 6 basically based on each of the given representation of a function, determine if it is a linear or exponential or neither. So we did some questions in class today, and we learned how to identify. The population of a town is decreasing at the rate of 1.5% per year. When the growth is according to some percentage or it's a decline, there is a decay, then it means that's going to be an exponential, that you already know. So that's going to be exponential. Alright, and if I want to look at this one, 10. So for this one, again, if I see that the graph is, the growth is in the beginning, it's not like, or decay is not that great. The rate of change is not great, but it keeps on moving towards the x-axis. The rate of change is getting higher. It's getting kind of faster. So that's again exponential. All right. So, and again, let's see this one. This one, it's going to be what? You can rewrite this equation. We have learned then that when it's a straight line, it's going to be linear, and actually this is an equation of line. All right, standard form of line, but you can write in a different, if you want to have in a slope intercept form, it's up to you. You can write this thing as 4y is negative 3x minus 3, and y is negative 3 over x minus 3 over 4. And today, by dividing both sides by 4. So we learned today that if another quicker way to figure out, if you see x without any exponent and it's just an x variable here, most likely it's going to be a linear equation, so linear function, and it's going to be, it's an equation of straight line, so it's going to be linear. Let's move to the next question. Question number 12, if I look at it, for each geometric sequence below, find the missing terms. And I told you for geometric, they already gave us, so it has to be multiplied by a common ratio. So what I can do, I just can represent first term is 2, second term is 2r. If r is the common ratio, I believe r is the common ratio, 2r, again multiply by r, 2r squared, 2r cubed, and 2r to the power 4. So we're getting this kind of sequence, so I can use this last part to write my 2r to the power 4, that is 162, and I can use that to get my r. I need to now divide both sides by 2. I get r to the power 4 is 81, and when I going to prime factorize 81, I get that's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, and because that's an r to the power 4, 4 is an even number, so when I find the fourth power, so it will have two values, so r is going to be, because it's the fourth one, so I told you just make 4 groups, so that's going to be plus minus 3. So our r is going to be plus 3 and minus 3. I'm going to write the missing numbers based on that, so I'm just going to erase this part so that I can write my different values. Okay, and that is equivalent to 2r to the power 4. So I have to take plus 3 and then I have to take minus 3. I will write down my sequence based on that. If it is plus 3, so 2 multiplied by 3, that is 6. Again multiplied by 3 is 18. Again multiplied by 3 is 54. Again multiplied by 3 you get 162. But if this is not plus 3, if it is negative 3, so what will happen? The numbers are going to stay the same, only the sign will change, alternating negative sign. So it is 2, or it could be when you multiply by 2 by negative 3 you get negative 6. Again you multiply by negative 3 you get 18, so there is no change. Again you multiply by negative 3 you get negative 4. So there will be changes in the few of the terms in the sequence. So you're supposed to do it the same way. You have to create your sequence, and then you have to figure out what is R. Once you get R, then you need to use that to write your missing numbers. Let's move to the next problem. So question number 17, if I look at that, if I have to solve it, rate of change or the slope. If you have to find the slope, what you need to do, you have to first see that is what is the change going on in x value. We see every time 2 is added, that's in x value, and here what do I see for this one? 11, and then it's going to 4, and then it's going to 0. Here it is, I feel like there is a mistake. First this is plus 1, and also when I looked at the question, this is a printing error, and it is supposed to be negative 6.5. all right. So every time you see there is a different kind of change, like here it is 11 to 4, it's taking out 7 here, and 4 to 0.5, it's taking out 3.5, and again 0 to negative 6.5, it's again taking out 7. So how to use that? Like you have to imagine per unit interval what kind of change is going on. So if it is given equation, straight equation, you can pick any 2 points to get the slope. What you need to do, I would be picking this and this, so that's negative 5 and 11, first point, and the second point is this and this, so second point is 0 and negative 6.5. What I need to do in order to get the slope, I need to know how the y is changing, change in y over change in x. That's delta, a representation. You can simply write change in x, y over change in x. So how the y is changing, if I'm taking this as the first point, so I would be writing 11 minus 6.5 over minus 5 and minus 0. So what I did, I basically, because this is your x1, this is your y1, this is your x2, this is your y2, I just used it as a y2 y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So it is basically telling you the change. So you basically negative 5 minus 0, and then when you solve it, 11 plus 6.5 over negative 5, and that's going to be 17.5 over 5, and your answer is going to be negative 3.5. And you can also look at it that here per unit interval, what's the change? Like every 2 interval you see the change is negative 7, and for 1 interval you see the change is negative 3.5. so you can see it from there, but I have done the extra calculation. Up to you how you want to look at this problem. All right, so let's move to the next one. For this one, we have been given some coordinates or the graph, so I'll just go with the question number 22. All right, so for this one I have to get the slope, and slope I said that's change in y over change in x, change in y over change in x. So that's your x1 y1, that's your x2 y2. So just subtract the y values. If you're picking 29 minus 7, Then same thing I will do. I'll start, the x value will be starting from the second point, which I'm taking it on the top first. 8 minus 3, and that is what? 29 minus 7 is 22, and 8 minus 3 is 11, and that's going to be 2. So that's the slope. You can use this thing to do your work. And here for 21, my suggestion, because the points are not given, or you can simply see, you can just pick a point which is readable like this, and then you see how can you reach from leftmost point to the rightmost point. How can you reach? I'm just giving you a hint here. You need to go up by 1 unit and go right by, you go by 4 unit. And it's just like rise over run. This is also here rise over run. Rise means change in y, and run means change in x, and you can easily find the slope is, and slope is usually represented by m. That's going to be rise over run, or another way of saying change of y over change of x. That's what? That's 1 over 4. So I have tried to explain many questions from the homework. Please let me know if you still have some trouble. Thank you. Stay safe. Bye.